In this video, we talked about how you would make money as an international student in Australia. But now, let's talk about where this money actually goes when you're living here. Let's break this down to the essentials: rent, groceries, and transport. Now, for a week on average, if you're getting paid $25 an hour and working 20 hours a week, you would be making roughly around $500 a week. Now, in my experience, rent in Sydney can be pretty expensive. It can range from like $150 to $400. In that range, it really depends on where you live maybe, or if it's a studio apartment or even a shared apartment, which do tend to be the cheapest. Generally, to keep the things going, we'll put down $250 for rent. For groceries, it'll generally be around from $60 to $100, but these will last you up to 2 weeks. So let's say $50 a week for groceries. Public transport in Sydney is actually pretty good, and you can get from point A to point B eventually. And it might take a little bit of time, but there's trains, there's buses, there's light rails, and this is an Opal card. This is what you use to tap on and off, and you can even use your debit or credit card if not. And you can top this up even at the train station or on your phone, and you can like link the card to your phone and do all this high-tech stuff. If you're traveling a lot during the week, I'd say you will have to top this up with like $20, maybe thrice. But if you're not traveling too much, I think topping up the Opal card like twice maybe with like $20 a week is plenty for like all your travels. And maybe that would be around like $20 to $40. Let's say $40 for public transport a week. Now there's other expenses such as like eating out, concerts, cricket matches, Ubers, and all these other things that may take more money during the week. Eating out can be particularly pretty expensive because like a meal outside would generally cost you around like $20, and Ubers are also pretty expensive, so that can also take a little bit of money. And concerts and cricket matches, that's just the kind of stuff that you're into, and that can range from around like $50 to maybe $200 a week.
Oh my god!
Depending on what kind of, maybe if you're going clubbing, maybe if you're buying alcohol, that can be more expensive as well. So that really depends on your lifestyle. So if you take all of this into account, you made $500, $250 for rent, $50 for groceries, $40 maybe for public transport, and let's put down $60 for extracurricular activities. In total, that comes up to $400 of expenses a week, and you made $500. So that $100 you can probably put it into savings. And that's pretty much budgeting 101. Great job. Now let's talk about my first-hand experience with expenses in Sydney, living here as an international student. Where I live in at the moment at university accommodation, go apply with Amber below if you're looking into it. It's around $245 a week, and it's an 8-bedroom shared apartment. I did also want to mention that the price for accommodation, it depends if it's a yearly contract or a semester contract, and the yearly contract can be a little cheaper than the semester one. For groceries a month, I usually spend around like $160 on average, and that's around like $40 a week. And I think I might have gone grocery shopping like 2 or 3 times a month. For transport, I spent $320 in September, $250 in October, and $140 in November. So you can kind of see that it really depends on the circumstances and the situations you're dealing with at the time. Because in September I went to Perth and I had to purchase all these Ubers and everything because public transport wasn't too accessible, and that comes to around like $70 a week on transport. I do not have a car unfortunately yet, so that I can't really tell you about driving and like maintaining and how expensive it can be and stuff, but hopefully it happens sometime in the future. Now eating out, even though I try not to do it as much and I'm pretty conservative with it, I've spent around like $345 in September, $300 in October, and like $420 in November, and that comes to around like $80 a week on average, and that's me being conservative. So that really goes to show how expensive like eating out in Sydney can really be. The great part about university accommodation is all the bills are included, like water bills, electricity, Wi-Fi, everything's included, and the only thing I do pay for is my phone bill, and that's around like $30 a month, which isn't much at all. And with that I get 35 gigabytes of data, and calls and messages all around Sydney are pretty free. But if you do want to take international calls and everything, you might have to like find a plan that's suitable for that. If you have Wi-Fi, it's really not an issue because you can always like call them on WhatsApp or iMessage or like FaceTime or something like that. Other than that, there's stuff in Sydney you can do like karaoke, bowling, playing pool, go-karting, treetops, amusement parks. You can go for a swim, you can play badminton, table tennis, all these any other sport you're kind of into, or you can even go like clubbing or like enjoy parties. And there's really so much more to do with your friends and family in Sydney. Not to forget, you can also shop, because the beauty of making your own money is you get to spend it however way you want. So, go ahead and buy that dress, buy that basketball jersey, and, go live on that edge looking like a flashy queen or a king. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed and found it very useful. Comment down below if you have any questions, and make sure to subscribe before you leave so you can follow along my journey as an international student studying in Sydney. And I'll see you in the next one.
Oh my god.
Another flip. We another flip. Yeah, I would do so much better, but they did fine. Amateurs.
Oh my god.